pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we have no speakers tonight, but I believe we have a presentation. Mr. Mayor?
Councilman Ken Phoebus, may I ask you to come to the podium, please? Well, this is a presentation that I would have liked to have delayed for another 4 years. Happy that Larry's sitting at the table, but I got to tell you, I would have liked to have delayed this. You did a great job. Before we go into the formal part of this presentation, when Ken came to the table, I think people had some fixed ideas about how things may work, but he single-handedly stood up on several issues, train caboose, and swung the council around on a lot of issues. He always spoke his mind. He was always independent. He never walked in lockstep with anybody. That's the kind of leadership this town needs. We learn from our differences, and you help us learn from our differences. You did a fantastic job as councilman. You always did it with poise, calmness, and professionalism, because there's ways to go about things. You did it the right way. And I was so proud, and I know I speak for the rest of the town councilmen and every citizen that came in contact with you. We were so proud to serve with you and to have you serve the community. Thank you, Ken. I'm going to read this. I'm going to read this formally presented to Kenneth D. Phoebus, Town Council member from May 2014 to May 2017. He also served as Council Secretary. In recognition of your dedicated, diligent, and unselfish service as a Mount Airy Town Council member and the Town Council Secretary, the contributions you have made to the town are greatly appreciated on behalf of the mayor, town council, and town staff. Thank you. Great job. I don't know if you want to say a few words.
Sure. Thank you very much. That was very nice, very nice. And it was really a pleasure to serve on the council for those years. I really had a good time serving with Bob King, especially. But during the council, I think a couple of things happened on the council that I think the council and the mayor and all could be proud of. One of them was purchasing the train station. I think in years to come, I think that's one thing we can all look back on as a council member and say, I had a little bit part of it, but I think the town's really going to be proud of that building over the years. And also the caboose. Larry had a lot to do with the caboose, and the council had some things to do with that, so that's another thing. And the police department. And I think the council made a wise decision in getting the police chief we did, because he's doing a good job there.
Agreed.
So there's a couple of things I think, being part of the council, we look back on and say, I'm just a small part of it and proud of it. And thank you all very much.
So humble. Thank you.
Ken, I know Judy's watching, so Judy, thank you for loaning him us for a few years. He was. We were taking him away from you for a while, so we greatly appreciate it. And Ken, we appreciated your work as well. Bob?
And you just don't know how exciting it is when you get a telephone call about 11:15 on a Thursday morning, and Ken says, "You want to go out to lunch?" And I said, "Sure." He said, "I'll pick you up." I said, "How soon you be here?" And he said, "I'm in your driveway right now." So thank you, Ken. And we're going to miss you.
All right, we got approval of the council meeting, council minutes for June 5th. Both the council meeting and the public hearing. Do I see a motion? I'll assume that's your motion, Scott.
Yeah, I'll motion.
A second for Bob. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
I think it was unanimous to me. I don't see any of the resident troopers here.
They're a little tied up right now.
Hopefully not
Just
actually.
a little.
Let's, Chief, move on to you.
Good evening, everybody. First of all, I'd like to thank Mr. Phoebus for those wonderful comments. I really appreciate it. To start with, I'll try to keep mine pretty brief as possible this evening. Just some of the things that we worked over the past month. We were assigned to security patrol at the Fort County Lions Club Carnival. MAPD worked that with the resident troopers, and very little incidents there. We went through our departmental firearms qualifications for the 3 officers, including myself. We're qualified for the year. Sergeant Snyder attended first line supervisory training at the Maryland Police Training Commission, Standards Commission. That was a 2-week school. He was away. I attended the Carroll County Explorer Post 56 graduation ceremony for the law enforcement program, Explorer program, which is a new program in the county, in Carroll County. It's basically a scouting program for people or the youth that wants to explore becoming police officers or having a career in law enforcement, and they went through a week-long academy, and it's actually a multi-jurisdictional scouting post. It has many different, sheriff's department, state police, the different municipal police agencies are all involved in it, and we also have children, youth from our area in it as well, and we're going to be active in that post as well, forthcoming as we move forward. So. One of the other things I also did is I had a meeting with Chief Fretch with the Brunswick Police Department. They are in the process of preparing to build a new police station there as well, and they're proposing a multi-use facility between the Department of Public Works and the police department. So, since we're heading that direction down the road, we are actually looking toward them to see what they're doing and getting some good information from them. So, our hiring process is continuing. We're finalizing. 4 out of the 5 lateral officers. We have 4 solid officers from other police departments that are coming on board. We're working on getting a fifth one on board, trying to find that right fit for the police department. They should be coming on board within the last week of August, or the last week of July. We'll have them, 2 to 4 of them on board and moving forward with that. And we should be moving into the new station in the very near future, within probably a month, I would say. So. That's pretty much the activities for the police department. Does anybody have any questions?
Do you want to touch base briefly on the incidents that occurred today, and what you can share?
I can share a little information. It's an ongoing police investigation, so I can't comment too much. But what has been released is the Frederick County Police, the Frederick County Sheriff's Department and the Howard County Police were involved in a joint investigation with a burglary suspect. They actually interrupted him in the commission of a burglary at a residence off of Penn Shop Road, and a brief police chase ensued. He rammed a police vehicle, and then there was officers on foot. He turned the vehicle towards the police officers and appeared to be attempting to run them down when the officers opened fire, and then he was killed on scene. And apparently there was one other suspect in the vehicle as well. So that's still, again, a very active police investigation. I believe they're still on scene up there, and they're working to clear that area out. So that's where it stands right now, and that's the information that's pretty much been released to the public. I don't have anything else that I can comment on as far as the investigation itself. So.
I could add, and it's not known to be related or unrelated, I just don't know, but we did have some issues on Flower Avenue over the weekend, some break-ins as well, so I'm sure they'll research.
Correct, and that's something they're looking into as well. So.
Okay. And is there any other issues in town that you can comment, or just slightly out of town?
Right now, I know
If you
that.
can't comment, that's
Yeah,
fine.
I know that the resident troopers have been called to a scene of a robbery at Carroll Independent Fuel, so they're working an active investigation right now. So, and that's why they're not here for the report. So, don't have any further details on that at this time. So.
Okay, and thanks for your great work at the, I guess, 3rd of July fireworks. Seems like a very good job about of getting everybody off the property quick.
Yes,
And I
yes,
heard Sergeant Snyder's story about Biker Dude.
Actually, that worked out very well. We actually, we kind of planned a little bit beforehand, and then after we went through it, we actually had a debriefing afterwards with the troopers and kind of went through what problems we saw and what we can do to improve that next year, and came up with a couple of ideas and recommendations that we'll work on for next year's event. So I think it all went fairly smoothly. I think we had all the traffic out of there and off the carnival grounds and the parking lot at the shopping center within about an hour and 15 minutes. So it went pretty quick.
Yeah, Doug, if I could just add, there is a Mount Airy Police Facebook page, and
That's
I believe
correct.
you updated that today.
Yes.
There were some concerns expressed in the neighborhood, as there is when you do any type of changes. about the amount of officers that the town council approved to bring on, even though it is required by our APFO to have 10, and the police recommendation even supported it. But when you see issues like this happening again and again, I hope it just reinforces that you all made a correct decision by building the Mount Airy Police Force and building it to the number that you did approve. So thank you, and thank the council.
Just, for example, we were talking about Brunswick a few minutes ago. Brunswick's what, about half the size of Mount Airy?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
how many officers is Brunswick bringing on?
Currently, they have 14 or 15 officers at this time, and they have a population base of about 6,900.
Okay,
Yeah.
we're
So
9,300, but what are they going to? What's their projected officer number?
Well, they're also having somewhat of a growth explosion there as well. They're having 2 large developments going in that's expected to almost double the size of the community, but they're planning.
Which will make it as big as us then.
Correct, and they're planning for a 25-man police department.
So it's kind of hard to talk about us at 10 when you look at even the other towns around
Well,
here, much
just to
smaller than us.
add,
They have a lot more officers than we
We
have.
have the lowest ratio to other townships in Carroll and Frederick County that have their own police force.
Yeah.
We have the lowest ratio.
And I think the
Correct.
one complaint.
But it's
that
important
we
for the
hear
public to know that.
most- The one complaint that we hear the most is, I called and it took 35 minutes to get there,
Or an hour.
or an hour. But, you know, that's the one we hear, that there's nobody close.
Well, and Bob, if I could just build on that, and that is under the current contract, where there are times where we are getting what they call county coverage.
Right.
And that coverage is sometimes delayed because it has to come from Sykesville or points north, so.
Yeah.
It's not our police that are taking that long to
Oh,
respond.
no, no, well,
Thanks, Chief, appreciate it.
that's why.
Unless anybody else got any questions or anything? Thanks. And Bruce, I'm assuming it's you tonight, Mount Airy Volunteer Fire Company. We appreciated the use of the grounds. The
Oh,
fireworks were excellent.
Good, good. And we were able to have our units up there, and I hope everybody got to see the ATV unit was there. Luckily, we didn't have to use it. It's been I'll say a difficult month for the fire company. We had, of course, the fire, and we also lost our longest-serving full-time paid employee suddenly, and plus we also lost a member of the auxiliary in an auto accident. So it's been quite a month for us. Incident report, rescue calls, Carroll, we had 109, Frederick 48, Howard 6, none in Montgomery, for a total of 163 rescue calls. Fire, we had 10 in Carroll, 9 in Frederick, none in Howard and none in Montgomery, for a total of 19. That's always good to have a low number of fire calls. And so our total responses were 119 in Carroll, 57 in Frederick, 6 in Howard, none in Montgomery, for a total of 182 calls for service. A couple of things we're going to have going on this month. We're going to have an open house at the reception hall, formerly known as the Activities Building. That will be this Thursday from 4 to 7. There'll be light snacks and water available and door prizes. We'd like to have as many people in the community and also the council and mayor, if you're available, to stop by. We have finished the building. I know a lot of people were in that building for the town elections, but of course the bathrooms weren't ready and we didn't have everything up and all, and the lighting system that we have in there that's quite extensive was not operational. So all that will be on display this Thursday, so please, if you have a chance, stop by between 4 and 7 to check out the renovations we did to that facility. And let's see what else we have. Oh yeah, we have a carnival coming up. The end of the month, the 24th to the 29th, will be our annual Fireman's Carnival. Parade will be Thursday at 6:30, just as it was last year, but keep in mind that's a change from what it's always been, so it'll be 6:30. And Saturday we'll have fireworks as usual, and we hope to see everybody there, and we're really hoping for good weather. Not like we had, unfortunately, last year.
Bruce,
I know.
the open house, that's this Thursday, the 13th?
Yes.
For what time?
4 to 7.
All right, 4 to 7, okay. And there's light snacks.
He heard food.
Yeah, I heard that. And the carnival, the time for the parade is a little different, is that what?
Well, last year we changed it from 7 to 6:30, and we're doing the same this year because that
Okay.
gets us through before it gets too dark.
Okay, gotcha, all
Because the
right.
parade seems to get bigger and bigger every year.
When's the parade?
And that's great, no, that's
No.
great.
For clarification, just for everybody in the
27th.
audience, 27th is the parade.
Yeah, that Thursday.
That one I had on my calendar.
Bruce,
Okay.
I've
Good.
scheduled.
No food, though.
What?
You don't give us food for that, though.
No, but we have plenty of food you can buy.
Oh, I do.
On the ground.
Fried Oreos.
All
I go
right.
up there almost every night of the week and get
Okay,
an order of
we'll
fried
make
Oreos.
sure you have those. You want double stuff or regular?
Regulars.
Okay, we'll
Regulars.
make sure we have those.
I saw the extensive flagman out there Sunday night doing the repair.
Yes.
And I've scheduled a meeting with Barney and Brian to discuss the issue of that repair and whose
Okay.
responsibility it was, so.
Yeah, we were up there. Barney was there till 4. I left at 2 o'clock, and at 1 o'clock this morning, we complied with the town request and capped the line.
Right.
So,
So, it was extensive flag work up there. I was kind of surprised to see all the lights.
yes,
So I'm glad we didn't take it over. But,
Yeah, well, it
but
was,
We'll work it all out.
yeah, it was not cheap either.
No, I
And,
know it
Of course,
wasn't.
we had to foot that bill, so
Well, we'll discuss that.
we'll
Thank you.
discuss that, yes. Okay. Anything else?
Thanks, Bruce.
All right.
All right, next up, community concerns, citizen comments. This is about 15 minutes we set aside for anyone who wants to address the council on any issues. Looks like we got quite a few people, so let me suggest you line up on the wall so we have some idea of how many we have, so we can try and divvy up your time. Looks like we got,
Wow, 1, 2, 3,
Okay.
4, 5, 6,
guys, you're all gonna get 2 minutes.
7. Yeah, we got about 7.
Yeah. Yeah, you're gonna have 2 minutes.
Are you timing?
Okay,
John, go.
the Ridge Swim Club and the Ridgedale Swim Team are hosting the 2017 Frederick Summer League All-Star Meet. This is 400 to 500 swimmers, 300 families, 14 teams, running from 6 o'clock to 11:30 on July 29th, and this is on Beck Drive. In the past, we've parked in Watkins Park. I don't know if that's still permissible or not. We also park on Marydale Drive, and we park in the homes around Lorien. And also, I talked to the mayor, we need some traffic cones, and we also need some volunteers to help with parking in the morning. Larry, are you still involved in Scouts? So maybe you could send us some Scouts, or I'll talk to you. Okay, that's not a concern. It's
Thanks,
just to tell
John.
you.
Okay,
Thanks.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Hi, Dick Swanson, Mount Airy Main Street Association. You may have noticed the 3-panel sign outside on the building, which was installed
2 signs.
today. That's a donation from the Mount Airy Main Street Association to the town. And we're going to have a short dedication of that sign at 6:30 tomorrow, prior to a combined MAMSA merchants meeting here in Town Hall. It should start sometime around 7 o'clock. So I invite everybody to come on down to the ceremony, take a look at the 3-panel sign. The town, in conjunction with MAMSA, will be issuing some guidelines on what can be posted in that center frame. And you'll notice on the left, there's a short history of Mount Airy, and on the right, there is a map of all the businesses in the downtown area. That will be updated once a year. And we welcome everybody to come on down and see that lovely sign that we donated to the town. Thank you.
Thanks, Dick.
Good evening. My name is Phyllis Reed. I live at 101 Fairwood Lane. My property joins the Dennis Kitchen and Bath, which was the site of the recent huge fire. First and foremost, I would like to say thank you. My heartfelt thank you to the fire company. You all risk your lives to save my home, and I truly, truly appreciate it. Again, I've contacted Mayor Rockenberg. I have his assistance. I'm also asking the town council and town officials to be proactive. I'm asking the burn site be monitored to make sure it's properly cleaned up, that there are no health dangers for the waste products, and I don't know what the waste products are. Petroleum products, chemical waste, I don't know what they are, but I would like to see them safely removed. I would like to see regular inspections conducted on the existing 2 buildings. We don't know what's in those buildings. I think it's important that we do know what's in those buildings. Do they comply with the fire code? Being a residential property, is the property compliant with town code? And I would like to see swift enforcement of any violations. I would hate to see another incident happen that we all witnessed a few weeks ago. I think the property needs to be restored, it needs to be healthy, but it also should not be at the expense of the surrounding citizens. I'm asking for your help to prevent another tragedy. This property should be an asset to Mount Airy, not a liability. Thank you.
Thanks, Phyllis. And you've got some pictures. You may want to email them.
I will.
If I just
Okay.
briefly, the town attorney is working on that, and he's going to take the action that, it's probably, we had 2 steps we could take. We're looking at the most severe step.
I see different things happening over there on a daily basis. I wish you could all see. I wish you would all monitor and see what I see. I'll send you the pictures I took tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Steve Trice. I live on Bull Road, which borders the Harrison Liger property. I'm actually outside of town, but I saw in the paper recently that we're going out and looking to, I guess, perk that piece of property or test it for water. And I just want to make sure that the residents on that road were received some sort of outreach. A lot of us have very shallow wells. My well's 65 feet. My neighbor's well's 40 feet. My other neighbor's well's 60 feet. And, so there's some concern that, if the town starts drawing off too much water off that property, that our wells are going to dry up. Those houses have been there since the 50s and 60s. There's no reason to believe that there's not sufficient water there. But we'd like to make sure that we receive some sort of communication, which we haven't. And second, I wanted to know if there was any public comment or ability to comment on what is being proposed on the property. Last I talked to Wendy years ago, there was some proposal for, I guess, parks, something like that. I saw at one point a business park. I know the county wanted to do that. So I'm not sure what's the plan is for back there, but all of our properties border that. I realize that it might seem in the, out in the country, but, we feel that's going to impact us, so.
When the property does come forward, and right now, we've been in discussions with the county for 5 years, I believe.
Yeah.
We haven't even gotten the paperwork straight yet, and there's been a lot of different proposals, 80-acre park, industrial, mixed-use zoning, that's what you heard the public hearing about tonight. But should there be a formal proposal, then that will go out, they'll be posted, and you'll be notified. And it's been an ongoing issue, whenever you drill a well, sucking it from surrounding neighborhoods, and I know there's a test involved, and I know you get notified, but I've even heard with those tests, that people's wells are affected. So we'll just defer to the county, but you will be notified. And we are in ongoing negotiations with Carroll County to potentially annex that property. But if it were to happen, there would be substantial public hearing and public input before any action was taken.
Okay, perfect.
And this is actually a retest on the wells. The wells were tested probably a decade ago or longer?
Some time ago, I think
Yeah,
there was
yeah.
some.
And basically, there was a certification, all the testing was done, and everything was checked by the state. And because it's been quite a while, it's being retested.
Where is that?
Yeah, I just want to make sure
There's
they
an
realize that our
expiration on
wells
those
are pretty
tests.
shallow.
Yeah.
You go some places in town, they're 300-400 feet deep. Ours are like 60 feet,
Yeah.
so. All right, thank
Good
you.
Sure,
consideration.
thanks.
Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Mary
Got
Ann
shortbread?
Elliott. No, we didn't bring shortbread. I forgot. And this is Dorothy Penders. We're from the St. Andrews Society of Mid-Maryland, and we put on the Celtic Festival every year. 6 years in running here in Mount Airy, and we just wanted to give you a final report and let you know, yes, we had 25 entrants in the shortbread competition from
my
6
gosh.
last year. So the poor mayor was eating shortbread until it came out of his ears, I think. It was a tough job, I know. But we had a little less, we had we had a lot of rain, we had a lot of mud, so we had a smaller crowd than expected, but we also had great support from Chief Reitz and all the local town police officers and the state troopers and Howard County Sheriff, and there were a few others I can't even remember, to help alleviate the traffic situation. And luckily for them, we didn't have a traffic situation. Unfortunately for us, we didn't have one because that meant we had less people at our festival. So this is just a quick summary of all the things that we had, just so you know what we did. And next week, our designated charity was Platoon 22. They were on board, and they're looking at preventing veteran suicide, and we raised $2,000 for them that we're going to be donating to them in a ceremony next weekend. But again, thank you all for having us, for all the support, for coming, and we will be back next year.
Thanks. Great event.
you.
Great event.
So-
Enjoyed it.
Thank you for choosing Mount Airy as your new home.
Oh.
We're so happy to host you. One thing that's probably not in your report, you bring thousands of people into our town that sell out all the businesses on the periphery. There's a lot of focus on Main Street, and I love those events out there as well because they focus on our businesses that are on the periphery. So thank you for that. Thank you for your designated charities. That's very admirable. You do that every year. So thank you guys.
Okay, thank you. See you
Especially
next
Dorothy
year.
for that short
We
break.
loved your renovations at the hall, and especially the extension for loading and unloading. That was really fabulous.
You know, you could stay at the podium and speak forever.
Well, I'm sure everybody wants to get home.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, good
Hello,
evening.
Heather.
Hi. My name is Heather Hobbs-Michael. I wrote this down so I wouldn't ramble tonight. My name is Heather Hobbs-Michael, 1919 Reading Court, 42, almost 43-year resident of Mount Airy, formerly of 205 North Main Street.
Could I interrupt you? That's her dad on the wall right there.
It is, and I only get nervous at this podium because I feel
He's
his
looking at
eyes
you.
boring into me. So I'm going to read because last time I was here I rambled a little bit and he kept on staring at me.
Sure he would.
He's very assertive, as you all well know. Okay, so as most of you know, this evening, Councilman Hushhour will be presenting his liaison report for Parks and Rec. In this report, he will introduce to council and to our Mr. Mayor the outstanding work, and it truly has been outstanding, so thank you, that he has done with a group of like-minded residents who live in Twin Arch Crossing. Let me say that I do not in any way represent the Twin Arch Crossing HOA. I'm here on my own accord as a resident and as a parent and an advocate for children. Councilman Hushhour will detail for you a proposed basketball court to be built on town property that will afford the children of our community a much-needed walkable amenity. Currently, our children, Twin Arch Crossing children, have access to soccer fields and a tot lot for outdoor play. When the council considers this project and the cost, I urge you to make it a priority. Look to this year's budget to fund the project. Our children need opportunities for healthy, structured play now. My own children are 9 and 13. They have been 3 sports student athletes since they were in kindergarten. We drive them all over town, the state, and now the East Coast to give them the best healthy lifestyle that we can afford. They are kids that you can all be proud of, but there are dozens and dozens more in Twin Arch Crossing whose stories are the same and are equally or far more amazing than my own children's. Recently, our HOA mandated that common areas may not have portable hoops, goals, or play equipment present. Our children are playing in the streets. They are playing in traffic. The space is there, the time is right, and the need is urgent. Please invest in our children and fund this project this fiscal year. I will add, because I am a data girl, that I am an elementary school principal very proudly. I am entering my 12th year as a Frederick County Public School principal at the elementary level. I just wanted to kind of give a little bit of data and research. Last year, my school successfully piloted the double recess time initiative that might be popular. Y'all might see that on social media. We instituted that at my school, doubling our children's recess time. They had a recess, a work time, a lunch time, and a recess. Our data speaks to the importance of frequent outside organized play. My school serves 786 students. Our suspension rate for the 16-17 school year was 0.03%. That is a testament to the power of play, and the children of Mount Airy deserve the same.
Thanks, Heather.
Thanks, Heather.
Can I address it for a
Yeah,
minute?
sure. Go ahead, Larry.
Yeah, this will come up in my liaison report. I just want you to know that Heather's here speaking, but I received at least a half a dozen emails, and the Parks Board has looked at this one time, and they'll be looking at it again this month, and we'll come back with something a little more formal after that. But Twin Arch, because of the current situation, does have an issue with basketball in particular, so that's why it's coming
And
up
we need to
right
get that
now.
trail open so they can connect to the rest of the park. But
That'd be nice, too.
Short term would be this, okay.
Okay.
Larry,
Thanks,
a good example is the one at Prospect.
East-West, yeah.
East-West Park.
Yeah.
That is busy all the time. And it was
Yep.
very informal when it was put up years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it's now gotten to be very popular.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Hello, my name is Ben Greenstein, town resident and business owner, 115 South Main Street. I was stepping up here tonight to address the council on Resolution 2017-1, the Mom and Pop Grant Program. For those of you who may have heard previous comments I made at Economic Development Commission, I apologize for the redundancy. I will be quick. I don't think that it's the town's responsibility to provide taxpayer money to businesses who are looking to do improvements. The criteria being used for the businesses that would be able to apply for this program are pretty much all of us business owners along Main Street as well as in the shopping centers. And so for us established businesses that would obviously take free money but don't need free money, it's just a waste of taxpayer resources. And for the businesses that would most need this money, they're also the most likely to fail. They're also the most likely to not be able to put that value back into the community. I think the criteria for applying is very loose. You know, located in the town of Mount Airy, 2+ years, can't have more than 7 full-time employees, can't be part of a franchise, can't be illegal, can't be a nonprofit. These are pretty liberal, I would say. And again, I just don't think that it's the responsibility of the taxpayer. I myself pay 2 property tax bills, 3 water bills. I don't feel like giving $5,000 out up to 3 times to, frankly, any business that's not able to come up with those funds on their own. Councilman Phoebus, who has left already, when the town gave $20,000 to a private developer several months ago, was the only one that was willing to vote against it with the courage to do so. And he said at the time that setting the precedent of the town giving tax money to private enterprise was dangerous. It's been less than 9 months, maybe even less than 6 months since the council approved that. So I would ask that the council not approve something very similar again tonight. Any questions?
If I think I want to clarify a little bit, this is not free money to anybody. This is a loan program with a very lucrative,
What are the repayment terms to the town?
It's drafted as a grant, so it's a giveaway.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No?
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Hello, my name's Carl Munder again, 2002 Fieldbrook Lane in the Sterling Glen subdivision community at the north end of town. I'm just here to ask the council to see if they can do anything prior to the start of this school year to try and convince the school board to somehow get the bus stop from Buffalo Road and I think Old Vintage moved into the community so the kids no longer have to cross over Buffalo Road to get on the school bus every morning or afternoon. I'm not sure if the town council can do anything or remind them of it, because right now, I think when the original bus stop was set up, we had very few elementary school kids in the new section. Now it's probably 25 to 30 kids, maybe more than that needs to take the school bus and have to cross Buffalo Road. Or the preferred option would be 1 school bus for the community, because currently we have 2. And the other intersection where we need to board is also not the world's best at Candace and Sterling Glen Way at the 4-way stop. We've had at least 1 child hit by someone running the stop sign, but luckily there's no injuries.
That's
But
all
still-
Carroll, right?
Yeah, Carroll.
Okay.
So,
Well, when you get to the other side of Buffalo Road, it becomes Frederick.
yes, exactly.
Yeah, but there aren't houses over there.
No, exactly.
Right.
It's all
I'm just
it's
thinking
all Carroll
through
County.
The
through
bus.
this.
Did you call Keith Shorter?
I think we tried last year with this too, and they did something saying
I'll be glad to reach out.
not
but
enough
Keith's-
kids or something
Keith's
of that
been
nature.
great to work with.
Yeah.
He actually lives in Mount Airy.
Okay.
And he takes care of the
I
transportation.
thought Carroll County required that they basically pick you up at your door.
Well, I'm just
No, Heather, well, you know.
In Frederick,
Well,
you
I
can
know
walk
they
up to
don't-
like a mile.
Well, I know they don't in your community because the roads are private.
I just know, tomorrow. So it's not, it can be up to, 3/4, but there's no door-to-door service.
But I thought Carroll County largely does have a door-to-door service.
Yeah, maybe
Even
we
here
can-
on Main Street, the kids who live next to the school, they pick them up and bus them across the street.
Yeah.
It's pretty close.
Right, it
It's
is.
pretty close.
Yeah, so we're just asking for maybe not door to door, but
Yeah,
just maybe a route or something to improve
Yeah,
the safety of the
that's-
children
yeah.
crossing
I'll
Buffalo
shoot
Road.
Keith an email
All right.
tonight.
Thank you, Pat.
Thanks for bringing that to our attention,
Thanks,
'cause I don't believe there's a
and thanks,
crosswalk
Heather.
on
Was that-
Buffalo.
Was
I
that-
don't think there's a marked off
No,
crosswalk.
there's nothing. They have to cross actually, I want to say cross over the street to the fielded side. or
I'd have to
vice
say that's
versa.
insane.
Yeah, they have to
Yeah.
walk to the farm field side of Buffalo Road.
Or vice versa or something of
Yeah.
that nature.
And that's actually in
They're not
Frederick
even-
County.
I mean,
That's Frederick
last,
County.
They have to leave the
year,
county.
we were told they're not even willing to just pull the bus in the neighborhood, make the U-turn so the kids can get on and off, at least in the neighborhood.
Yeah, that's
So,
interesting.
We will encourage them.
Okay, thank you.
And last and certainly not least.
Heck no.
Hello, everybody. Pete Ballas, Mount Historical Society. Last month I was here. I talked about the reprinted Blue Book. But unfortunately, some of the folks in Mount Airy told me the first part of the town meeting was a different meeting. So I said I would come back again and talk about the Blue Book.
They're conspiracy
The
theorists. There was no
reprint.
different.
Well,
Go ahead, Pete.
Pete, you know, they nodded up there and said they did, but I watched that myself and it was a different meeting. But anyway, be that as it may, my 2 minutes is running out. I wanted to share that the Mount Airy Historical Society is selling this book, the reprint of the Blue Book, The History of Our Town. It is for sale at the Blossom Boutique, Blossom and Basket Boutique, right where our new parking lot is, for $20. Last month when I was here, the limited number of people, we actually sold 36 of the books. Wow. So that's kind of awesome. And I'm very appreciative of that, and thank you very much. Also, I wanted to say we are going to do a reprint of the Railroad book. The Railroad book, we did 200 copies. The copies have sold out, and we are going to do a reprint of that. Now, it's really strange that Heather's here because I was looking through my book tonight, and I said, you know, last time I did a little history about the town of Mount Airy. Mary, this is for you.
I'm listening. Someone requested a signed copy of that book.
Yes, I know, and had you been on site today, I would have had you sign it.
Yeah.
But some people were missing here. I was here. I handled that, sir.
Thank you.
I will handle that again, but not tomorrow.
Yes, sir. I understand.
Anyway, I was looking through my book here, and since this is the July meeting, I thought this is rather a good thing to do. July the 24th, 1931. So if you'll indulge me for a moment. On July the 24th, 1931, an event of great importance in the future growth and development of Mount Airy occurred this week when steps were taken at the regular Chamber of Commerce meeting to procure a public park within the town limits, where automobiles may be parked and where municipal activities of the community may center. Gifts of land have come from, Heather, Mr. Thomas E. Watkins and the People's Lumber and Supply Company, Walter R. Rudy, and Mr. Charles C. Riddle Moser. So as we go back to Mr. Tom Watkins, for all the people who came after 1997, Mr. Tom Watkins was the founder of the People's Lumber Supply Company, which used to sit right over here at the corner of Center and Main Street. And
He's
Mr.
related to Heather, right?
Yes, yes.
Was your dad his son-in-law or?
Uncle Ira, Ira Watkins was my dad's great uncle. He was my great uncle. Wow. Ira and Asa.
So
I knew it was a family.
that's right. That's right. So it's really strange, A, that you're here. B, if the residents of Mount Airy had this book, they would have known that tonight and they could have read along. So again, I remind everybody, the book is only $20. It benefits the Historical Society. We're looking for that. Also included in that, it's kind of interesting. 2 more minutes. Before any of this could take place, the land must be cleared of present buildings, and that includes the brick homestead of Mr. Henry Buzzard. Mr. Henry Buzzard, who's the founder of our town. This was the oldest building in the town, built about 1840. At one time, Mr. Buzzard owned all the land on which Mount Airy now stands. It also included a large barn, 5 small sheds, a number of trees. So that's the history lesson for
So
tonight.
did-
If
did
you haven't
we-
gotten a book, it's $20. Blossom
So
Boutique.
did we tear down the oldest building in town to build the parking lot?
Yes, we did. Thanks. I appreciate all the help.
Before our time.
I appreciate all the help. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Pete.
Thanks, Pete.
And that white box truck was over there too, so, in 1930.
Yeah, probably.
Pete,
Okay.
what's the realtor's, my mind is going blank, what's the realtor's name in town that's related to Mr. Buzzard?
Bonnie Winkler.
Bonnie
Bonnie
Winkler.
Winkler.
So his great-great-great-granddaughter or something still lives and works in town.
And Pete, you mentioned the railroad book. There were actually 2. There was Doc O'Brien's and there was the Herman Beck
Yeah,
book.
Herman Beck.
Which one's being reprinted?
The
Doc O'Brien's one, okay.
Caboose book.
They're all good books. I own them all. And I've read them all, so. But I just wanted to clarify which one was being reprinted. Thanks. Okay, ordinance 2017-7, mixed-use commercial here for reintroduction. I will reintroduce. I got a second. I got a second from Bob. This will be on next month's agenda. Okay, resolution 2017-1, mom and pop grant. I think this is Melissa's.
Hello. Okay, here tonight.
Melissa, identify yourself for the folks in the audience.
Hello, I'm Melissa Thorne, Economic Development Manager for the town of Mount Airy. Hi, everyone. It's been a while since I've been up here at town council meeting. So resolution 2017-1 is about the Mom and Pop Grant Program. This is a program that has $15,000 budgeted in this current fiscal year. And the purpose is to provide an economic stimulus to our local existing businesses in town or outside of town to come into the town. So there are certain requirements. Hope everyone has a program guidelines. Tonight they should be available on the back table. For certain things only, it's a little bit more intense than the facade program that we have had through the state of Maryland. So this program is completely from town funds. They can use it towards leasehold improvements, which is anything a part of the inside of the building that cannot be removed without a building permit. So we're talking about, a kitchen or a floor, new floor, ceiling, ADA improvements, which are often a requirement now if certain construction is put into a building, a certain percentage. They can also use it for newer replacement signage and similar to the facade, anything on the exterior of their building that may need to be replaced. And then there's a listing, I won't go through them all, of ineligible funding uses. And as a part of this program, there will be a committee set up, and we've proposed that this would be a committee with the mayor, myself, our Main Street manager, and up to 2 members of the Economic Development Commission, which have already volunteered and been selected. And that would be Jimmy Linton and Sean Grattan. So it's a small committee that would meet on an as-needed basis as we have applications that do come in. And once the funding is gone, the program is over. So, or until June 30th of next year. So just a couple more things I would like to share regarding this program. One of the caveats is the applicant must meet with the Small Business Development Center. This is a free center that is a resource that is available. They look at the business plan of the company, their marketing details, and any financial resources, and they're going to help them craft the application if they need help with that at all. So we sort of wanted to make sure that was part of it in order to show that these people were very serious. We want them to remain in business, and that's part of the program here, that we're not just giving away money to anybody for anything. It is a vetted process, and the committee will be the ones to decide what is a worthy project and what is not a worthy project. I'm hoping that we get a lot of applications. I've already had a little bit of interest. People are wondering when it's going to be open, but I wanted to take it before this board first and ensure that you all were okay with the details and the guidelines. And if you had any questions, we could talk. I'll wrap it up.
Can I do it now?
No.
Go ahead.
Hi. So a couple questions. One, can you clarify, is this for existing businesses or new businesses that we want to attract to town?
It's for both. So the business has to be around for 2+ years. They could be in Ellicott City, they could be in Owings Mills and wanting to locate into the town. Or they
guess I'll
could be
re-clarify.
here for 2
Are they already
years.
existing in town
can
and they
be.
can apply for it?
Yes,
or is
that's
it to bring
also
business in?
true.
They can
Okay.
be.
It's either.
Will there be decision criteria based on if we're bringing a new business in versus businesses that are already here?
We have not set specific criteria to differentiate. That's something, and a lot of this was vetted through the Economic Development Commission, so I might want to consider bringing it back to them or the committee members themselves.
Just an idea, a thought
Right.
was that if we want to bring new businesses in, you know, maybe they take preference, just sort of like we do with the water or anything else. It was just a thought.
And that could be a requirement of the review board, because I agree with the comments that were made earlier, but I like the fact that it's just not these set standards, and that people actually sit down and see if there is a need, and we can actually make an intelligent decision on, does this business really need it? Is this business gonna fail? Or
Versus we just have a business that comes in, like
Right,
Ben was
right.
saying,
That
that would
makes
kind of
me feel a
address
little
the
bit more-
whole,
makes
they
me
don't
feel a
need the
little bit
money,
more
well,
comfortable.
Right.
we can use it for something else.
Right.
The only other question I had was, is there involvement with P&Z? I heard EDC, but when I think, and I heard the word signs, I heard facades. When I start thinking about that, if somebody's just like, oh, I want to change my sign this year because I want to change the colors.
They
well,
would certainly
be a
have to go
process approval.
through the process for signage as well as anything that differs with their site plan.
Okay, so
We would make sure that that was part of the
Everything-
process.
Everything anybody coming in has to go through, they will have to go through too.
just making sure. I didn't hear planning, and I thought that maybe they should get looped into
We
the
can-
process as well. At least be alerted, hey, there's something that's coming that they need
What's-
to know about.
And let them know that they need to follow the appropriate tab procedures for
Right.
What
getting
are
the
you-
correct permits. And
What are you, I guess, requesting from the council tonight on this?
what I'm requesting is approval of the resolution.
Okay.
So how it is
adoption.
written is authorizing the grants committee.
Okay, do I have a motion then on the resolution? Motion from Bob, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Got a second from Scott, okay, just wanted to get that formalized, so we're in the discussion phase.
And also the support of the program itself, those two.
So now we're
I
discussing.
did hear that this encourages economic development, but I know that, or maybe I just missed it. And of course
Yes,
it does.
absolutely. And the goal of the program is really the retention, and also hopefully because it shows that Mount Airy is becoming business friendly
And
and
other places do similar.
absolutely, yes.
And there is
A lot of communities.
criteria where we'll look at a needs basis, and again, I agree with the comments that are made. If a company comes in here and they really don't have a need, well, they're probably not gonna be first on the list.
Mhm.
But if there's somebody who has a good, solid business plan, we think we should invest in that.
Now, with the grant funding, one other follow-up question is that it says 5,000 awards or up to the 15,000 until it's expired or the date. Will there be the ability to do sub-grants, if you will, up to $5,000? So if somebody only needed $1,000, you could do that and then you have 4.
Yes, so if we
Okay.
do end up giving out a few of the smaller, under $5,000, we may not be able to give somebody 5,000. We mean,
Yeah,
of course, we won't
but
be able to give
it's up
3
that
people
limit.
$5,000.
But I just want to make sure that we didn't limit it to, you can only have 3, and it has to be a max of $5,000 because somebody may need $500 or.
Correct.
Okay,
That is how it is intended.
thank you.
All right?
Great.
Yeah, first of all, the resolution is written, I think you have a typo in the bottom of it. It should be June 30th, 2018 instead of 2017.
Yes.
We're going
Okay.
back in time.
We're looking backwards on
It's a very impossible program like
Yeah.
that. Okay.
that. My biggest question is, what is the measurement of success? If we approve this year, next year, I assume this would probably come up again. And my question is, how do we measure the success of it? Is it that we provide a grant to somebody and they stay in business? Is it, what did EDC discuss as far as measuring success?
That is one measure. That's the biggest measure of success is that they are still in town and that they're a business, viable business. But collecting data from them, I don't believe we did write it up like that. And there wasn't a huge discussion at the economic development level about the measuring. But as a part of the program, I think that's a great idea and it needs to be implemented to have numbers beforehand. And they would be for the same, for every applicant, that they would have to fill out as an application after the grant has been completed, after the construction was done, and then after so many years of a year of the project. Or we could do quarterly
Yeah.
reporting.
I also want to clarify it to the, to the public. As I read it, this is applicable to anybody in town limits. So we're talking all the way over on Backacre Circle
Yes.
and anywhere. So it's not a Main Street program. It's a program for the entire town. I would tell you I'm inclined to give it a shot, but I would tell you next year it wouldn't, I may not be.
Okay.
So.
I think Jason's next, and Scott.
My first question is, what is the procedure of when they are granted money? Do they have to make the improvements and then we get the receipt and then we then cover the cost of that receipt? Or do we just say, hey, we have an estimate of, we're gonna do $3,000 in windows, here's $3,000. The windows actually maybe end up costing under $3,000. We've then overpaid $500. So is there a grant receiving process for that in here, which I did not see?
What we were going to follow is what our process and procedure for community legacy. So we do require that they have, per our procurement process, at least two quotes for the work, and then they explain why they chose that contractor to perform the work. So once that we're not going to give anything, obviously, before the work is completed. But my procedurally going forward was that we would get the receipts and then just give them a check, so that we were not actually paying the contractor directly. It was through the business to do that.
And then,
but the project itself, we had pictures that they actually did complete the work.
okay. And
For
then, does this also apply to home-based businesses?
No, only brick and mortar.
Okay.
That should be in the page 4. Number 1, located within the municipal limits of the town of Mount Airy in an industrial, community commercial, neighborhood professional, or downtown zone, home-based businesses are not eligible to
Okay.
receive funding.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Scott's next.
The only follow-up, Melissa, I just saw something here, and maybe if there's not verbiage, it needs to be, how will you deal with past recipients, i.e. you have somebody that comes to the town every single year and says, I need money, I need money. Is there gonna be limiting criteria that says, somebody who applies for a grant can't apply for a grant in X period of time?
That would have to be the
or-
review board, I would think, if we see the person back
Well, no,
again.
I'm just,
yeah.
Right,
Again,
I mean,
that's what I'm
certainly
thinking.
it shouldn't come up this first year, but
I don't wanna see
it should be.
habitual, somebody comes every single year and says, I need $5,000, I need $5,000, I need $5,000.
We have looking at a lot of different programs that do this. I think that there is a certain period, a cool-off period, so to speak, where they can apply after maybe 2 years
Right.
or 3 years.
So we'll
So
have
that
some
should
type
be
of
added into
verbiage
it.
or thought like that for policies or guidelines. Okay.
I like that.
Thank you.
Anybody else got any comments? All right, I was, Melissa, I guess my perspective would be, I tend to be a no on this.
Okay.
I, would agree with the comments we heard before. Just the government giving people money. If you're operating a business and you can't find somebody to invest a couple $1,000s in your business, then you've got a bad business model. Or if that's gonna, for me, I looked at this and I was like, well, I could use the office, be repainted, might be nice. And I looked at these different things and I'm like, because my office would qualify for most of these things. I'm like,
The board may
why
not
should I-
approve you, though.
Well, but I'm looking at the criteria. I'm very
could
qualified for all these criteria.
Right.
And I just, I just don't know that I see that as being the government's role, giving away, $15,000 to somebody's business. I will say I differentiated it from what we saw up the street with the developer up there, and that's because we were helping him to move infrastructure that wasn't his. That was how I differentiate that phone cable tower with all that stuff on it, that wasn't his. He didn't want it there. It had nothing to do with him. That was really a public facility that was there.
Well, it's not that he didn't want it there.
He didn't want it there.
We were making him
Yeah.
move it.
Yeah. He would've been happy leaving it where it was.
And he would've.
But when I look at this, I just see this as being just another government giveaway. As a general policy, I'm against the government giving away money. Now, when it comes to things like a facade grant or something, if the government's already giving it away, I have no problem lining up to take it, but I don't want the government to do it in the first place. But if they're gonna do it, I'll take my share. So I might apply under this, but I'm going to vote against it, so nobody can complain if I apply.
And whatever the council decides, I'd like to applaud Councilman Larry for checks and balances. Good questions, Scott. All good questions by this council. It's great to see that they critique these things. But just so people know, grant processors are nothing new. They encourage economic development. They encourage investment in your town, and which will ultimately give you a payback. Or hopefully give you a payback. That's what you're searching for. When you're talking about at downtown or businesses that need some kind of spark, there is some benefit to that. I agree with you. The government's not in the business of doing this, but we all are or should be in the business of investing in our town somewhat. So, whatever decision you make.
Unless there's any other comments, let's have a vote on this. Dick, you want to make one quick comment on it? Come on.
Dick Swanson, 1107 South Main Street. Very simple question, and then I'll get to my point. On page 1, I don't understand about leasehold improvements. You have bar in there, you have cash wrap, you have checkout, etc. I have no idea what all that means. But my point actually is that I don't see anything here, unless I'm wrong, where the person receiving the grant has any, as you call, skin in the game. In other words, it's not a 50-50, it's not a 80-20 or whatever it is. So you talk about signs, and a number of signs cost less than $5,000, and to come in here and say, I get the town to pay for my sign, because I'd like to put a new one up. There's no real financial commitment on their part, and I think that has a lot to do with people's consideration of where they want to apply for grants and how serious they are. So I'd just like to see that added to it.
Yeah, and that is something for the review board to consider. I mean, again, that's why I like that we're having, this is just not you file the paperwork and there's no discussion. That there is a review board that's going to ask these tough questions, and thank you all for bringing them up. They are very good questions.
I see Carl wants to talk on this, wants to mention something too. Come on up, Carl.
I just wasn't sure. I just want to second some of the concerns with the audits. There's no audit requirements in here. There's no check and balances. It's a good start at the proposal, but it should be check and balance, audits, and some other things potentially added to it before the council approves this. And maybe actually add a sunset provision in it too, so it's not always an ongoing program, because it's a 2 to 3 year test cycle, see if it works, because as currently written, it's an open-ended line item in the budget.
Actually, it currently ends about 10 days ago.
It would have to be renewed every year, but very good points.
Yeah.
Good point.
Marty McFly brought this forward.
Yeah, we have to approve every dollar in the budget every year.
I know, but it's just sunset provision, just gives it a
Good
chance
point.
as an audit and check and balance to see
Yeah.
if it is work or how it can be approved.
Yes.
Thanks. Melissa, you got anything else you want to say before we have a vote on it? I'll take that. As a no.
I'm thoughtfully crafting, Peter. I'm just trying to take
okay.
in everything that I've heard tonight.
Okay, thanks. All in favor, say aye.
She's still thinking.
Well,
I'm not going to cut her off. She's thinking.
8 minutes later now.
response.
No, honestly, I just second the mayor's sentiments about the purpose of this program is, in my mind, to be our first steps in the incentives direction for the town of Mount Airy. This really, aside from the experience of providing for moving a utility pole for the safety reasons and other reasons for a private business, this is really where we're stepping out and showing the business community that we are business friendly, we care, and we know that a lot of you are struggling. And the 2-year business mark, some of them, that's the time that they decide that they're not going to stay around. So if they have a little bit of an incentive to stay, then they're going to risk, another year or two. And then if they can get the help that they need through the Small Business Development Center, that they may actually stay in town. And we want to see these mom and pops be a successful force, whether it's downtown, outside of the downtown. So whatever the council does decide tonight, I think we are headed in this positive direction. So I'm really happy to see that. And we'll continue to research and trying to make things work for us. Thank you.
I was just going to ask if you, based off of some of the stuff you heard in the comments, if you wanted to revise this and provide something versus just getting a yes or no now.
I think that would be wise, potentially, from the hands I saw fly up and those hands not fly up. But, I would like to see what the council would decide tonight.
That's fair.
And then, if necessary, we come back next month or the following, whenever we feel ready.
Yeah, I guess go ahead.
Go ahead, Peter.
Well, just in response to what you say, I guess I don't see it as a government task to take money from Conchetta's or Orienzo's or my business or Ben's business or any of the taxpayers here and give it to another person. That's just not me. Or give it to me if I apply for the grant.
To answer that, Peter, Lockheed Martin, everybody, all the counties will forego taxes and forego lots of things to get Lockheed Martin in the neighborhood. So it's done at the state level, the county level, the municipal level. It's done everywhere.
That's a discount, it's not a payout.
Well,
That's,
Well, no, they do give grants and
Yeah,
scholarships.
and they do.
everything else.
Governments do that.
But
This
they're
is
giving
not-
it for
this is not
specific
something
things.
that's unheard of. This is our first, delve into this at the municipal level.
Yeah. All right, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I see 2. All opposed? I see 3.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Melissa. Melissa, I know you put a lot of time into this. I do appreciate that.
I would just say I'd like to see some of the changes come into it, because I think if you have more policies and things in there and you narrow down the field, it's always better to start off small than to start off just wide. Okay.
All righty. Okay, Barney, train station recommendation.
Can we do resolution 2017-2 first?
Did I miss? Wait a minute.
You did, it's yellow. We got a slip sheet, Peter.
I'm sorry. I'm looking at the original agenda, not the updated one. Forgive me.
That's okay.
I have 2 here.
This was the one that was
Yeah, I know.
emergency emailed, and
Yes,
apologies.
I-
Since we know how Councilman King is.
I'll take
Yeah,
it.
give me your copy, thanks. Okay.
About
Resolution
emergency.
2017-2, this is the policy for procurement that promotes sustainability. Thanks, Tom.
So as I mentioned.
You want to introduce it?
I'll introduce it.
And I'll second. and we'll
Second,
go
thank you.
forward.
All right. As I mentioned in my email, just to briefly paraphrase, and I emailed to the council the other day, we are looking at a sustainability certificate with the state of Maryland. And we're also, as a green team, this is coming from the commission standpoint, of looking at how we purchase products that will affect the environment. So cleaners, detergents, those types of things. You can buy the standard off the shelf, or you can then buy the chemical or the cleaner that is greener for that same purpose. And what this resolution is asking is that we take a look at, without putting too much fiscal responsibility into that greener product, is to take a look at the greener product first, and if it makes more sense to go with that, then to purchase that greener product before buying the off-the-shelf or possibly the more dangerous of those cleaners. It also allows us an opportunity to reduce paper, such as paper towels in a restroom, and put in hand dryers. So it's taking a look at the environment in a multiple of ways. So as you see on the first page, that's the actual resolution, and then goes into details about the sustainability factors when we actually look at the procurement policy for that. And I know Heather on the commission worked very hard on the resolution, so if she has anything to add, I'd turn it over to her.
You covered it
Okay.
beautifully. Thank you.
I had a question on the policy section, which was the second pages.
Sure.
It looks to me like that was actually probably taken from the policy statement from somewhere else. Is that? Okay.
Yeah, there is
Well,
a
that's a plus.
suggested
I like to.
template.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's-
we certainly didn't recreate the wheel.
That's good.
but
I appreciate that.
we-
It's a good
yeah,
policy.
Yeah.
You're actually looking at about, I would say, 13 other municipalities in the state of Maryland that has the sustainability Maryland certification. And just as teachers do, we don't do anything to recreate the wheel. We take it, we manipulate it to then use in our best situation. These other municipalities followed the same template that we have all had, and we changed it to match Mount Airy's.
Okay. But I will say I'm pro paper towels, anti-hand dryer.
Thank you.
I prefer to have paper towels in the restroom. Any other discussion?
He can have it in his office. It's
Hey,
okay.
I like paper towels in the bathroom. I prefer paper towels to a hand dryer. Bob? Since Jason specifically mentioned that.
I used it as an example.
If I understand this, we're being asked to approve this on an emergency level?
Well,
This
it's
is a
not, it's a resolution,
Okay,
it's
so
not
it's not an
ordinance.
ordinance?
Right, so it's not,
Okay.
I wouldn't have even raised it with you, Bob, if it was coming from an emergency.
I wouldn't have brought it up either. And you owe no money, by the way.
And this
No
means
money,
next
and
year
it's
we
not
can
an
wear.
emergency.
You got
Does
it.
this mean next year at MML, we can wear the ones that say certified instead of registered?
You
when
got
says
it.
Sustainable city on our
So,
badges?
so right now, I don't know if we have actually submitted the paperwork.
We submitted.
We
the
have, okay, so we
application
submitted our
on the 3rd.
Sustainability Maryland municipality paperwork. And as I gave Peter a little bit more information about what that certificate entails, right now there are about 13 other municipalities that hold that certificate. And there are a number of activities that need to take place within that town or municipality in order to achieve that certificate. It's very difficult. It takes about 3 years. We're actually trying to get it done within the year or year and a half. And I've only been on the commission for about 2 months, so I'm still trying to get caught up.
Okay, good. Any other questions? I mean, I like the fact that it did look at the economic side. In other words, you're not gonna go out and go, well, here's a $3 regular cream
Right.
cleaner, and here's a $50 green cleaner. Oh, we have to go with the $50 green
Right,
cleaner.
no. It specifically entails in the wording
And
that.
I appreciated that.
We are not going to spend extra money
Right.
well above our
If
means.
you have a
to-
choice, we're gonna go green.
Right, absolutely.
If all things are equal, we go green.
You got
I think
it.
that's a reasonable policy. Anything else? All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Everybody was up, so that's unanimous. All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jason.
Okay, now we're moving on to Barney. Now I have the new yellow marked agenda.
Me and Barney decided who was going to take this. Barney and I reviewed the proposals. Barney did a fantastic job reaching out to not only small vendors, but larger companies for the remodeling of the rail yard building. The numbers came in a couple $100,000. I was concerned with that cost in light of some of our other expenses, so we walked through and with our new engineering, not assistant, but intern, and we looked at ways we could save some money, not do certain things, change certain things, or put certain things off. And after exploring them, none of them seemed to be responsible as far as looking to the future. It would cost so much more in the future. That being said, I still cannot support moving forward with the remodeling project. I have reached back out to 2 smaller local contractors that are here in Mount Airy. We're going to reopen the bid process. I'd like to apologize to Barney for putting extra work on him. However, I'm just not comfortable at this time making a recommendation to council to proceed with that work. So we'll be back here in a month or so.
So you're pulling
All right, so we're basically pulling it?
We're
Okay.
pulling it.
Yeah, sounds good to me. All right. Up next, town-county agreement for fiscal year 18.
Uh-oh, wait a second,
Hold on.
Pete.
Oh,
Sorry,
hey,
Pete.
Pete.
We're only talking a
Pete
month.
is the quickest I've seen you move.
I know, it's been tough lately, it really has, I appreciate. Mayor Pete Ballas, not for the Mount Airy Historical Society, Pete Ballas for himself.
Okay.
The train station for our town, I tend to believe needs to be a world-class facility. And at this time, we have an opportunity. The museum is not going to have to leave from the Flatiron Building at this point. We have an opportunity now, there's no one in the train station except the pharmacy, to make this a world-class facility and bring it back to the way it was when Baldwin designed the station. I would like to say, I don't have a problem holding up here, but I don't want to see this project drag on and on and on. We had 4 bids. Town engineer Barney did a fantastic job. The few extra $1,000 that it's going to cost in the long run is not going to make a lot of difference. I would ask that you reconsider your thought on that and bring that to the table next month with what we already have.
The chances are we're going to put a 20-day stipulation, and the bidders that have already bidded can just flip their bids over, but we have to follow a certain process. And I personally spoke to 2 of the bidders today and told them they'd be given 20 days. So I don't see any reason why we can't flip this and have it back.
And have
for
it back next month.
Next month. And I got to tell you, the things that I wanted to pull were all put back in.
Okay,
so the
great.
price didn't change.
Great.
But I changed who the contractor may be. So the price didn't change. The project's not going to change, but I want another number.
And I appreciate that. My concern is I just don't want to cut a lot of corners here to start off with.
Right.
Because I don't want to see for future generations someone come and say the foundation is not safe and the building, the roof may blow off.
Thank you, Pete.
Thank you, Mayor. And I appreciate all the help that you folks are going to vote on this for us. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Pete. All right, Town County Agreement, fiscal year 18. Tom, this is really...
Yeah, I have reviewed it. It is the same, identical to last year's and the last several years, except the numbers, of course. I believe Charlene indicated that the numbers are more favorable to us this year than last year.
That's always a good one. I will move, we accept the town-county agreement as currently written. Bob?
I'll second.
Any discussion on this one, Larry, or? Good. This is one, just kind of one we have to do every year to get our money from the county. It's just they're going to give us more this year. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Bob, were you anything?
Yes, I was an aye.
Okay, you were looking the other way, so everybody was aye. The only one I couldn't see was Bob. All right, council highlights. Mr. Mayor, you're up.
We have his report. Move on.
Huh? The election's over, Pat.
The election's never over.
Mayor's report.
Okay,
Mayor's
the
report.
Independence Day celebration again. We had bought up Councilman Howard had brought up the great job that the police chief did. I want to give a huge thank you to the founders of this annual event: Denise Fox from the Fox Realty team, Ben Galecki of Mount Airy Liquors, and Dr. Chris Coleman. Thanks to their vision and hard work, we don't need to travel miles away or spend hundreds of thousands, whatever dollars that the community may spend on potential illegal fireworks displays that are dangerous. You can celebrate Independence Day right here in your hometown. So this is a great benefit for us. This was our 5th year. It's fantastic. I'd also like to thank the Mount Airy Police Department, the State Police, the Town Council, and town staff for all their hard work in supporting this event. I'd like to thank all the sponsors, vendors, and to the Mount Airy community for being a part of this patriotic celebration. Just a brief discussion on the Maryland Municipal Annual Conference. I want to thank the councilmen that gave up their vacations. Some gave up getting paid to attend this conference on behalf of the community. We always learn beneficial things. Some of the items that were taught, the courses were, there's a signage ordinance, which we're looking at on planning, and there's actually a legal case that involved the sign issue, so I'm glad a lot of the councilmen attended that. There were classes on grant applications, ethics, hot button legal issues, code enforcement, and there was also a class taught by our very own former mayor, Frank Johnson, on code ordinances related to rental properties. We have a lot of rental properties in this town. There was also an opportunity to interact with the governor's secretaries and I had an opportunity to discuss with them the entry sign delay process. Rachel? It should not take a year to get that process through, and I was able to go straight to the representative of the State Highway Association. Larry, I was able to touch base with the State Highway on some options for transversing Route 27. So they called me for more information, but haven't really gotten back to me with any suggestions. I also reached out to some members of this, the governor's staff for issues handling commissions. We currently have no criteria for withdrawing somebody that's currently on a commission. However, you can withdraw a councilman, but you can't withdraw a commission member. So I wanted to look at some possible opportunities there. I'm not going to list them all, but I list every year at this time, I list student opportunities where students seeking service hours. There's a lot of stuff you can do right here in your town and just find one that fits you. That's all listed in my mayor's report. Updates on the recent vehicular tragedies. We had 2 fatalities on North Main Street, and even though it's outside of our community, we still embrace our environs, falling green. Just so everyone knows, every time there's a fatal crash, the State Highway Administration and the Maryland Department of Transportation goes to that site, they evaluate the site, they evaluate it for traffic signals, sight distances, and various other things, and they also take details of the police report. They are following up on these 2 incidents. There's been a lot of social media chatter about that, and I've also responded to that, but I just wanted to put it in my mayor's report. The incident that happened on North Main Street is actually, we expect to have the results of that in August to see if there's going to be any change down there. But so we are following up, and while it may be outside of town, we as a town leadership do encourage and stay on top of it.
And at the other end of town, where they were talking about the incident tonight, where Bottom Road comes in there, right in front of the Exxon station, there was a death at an accident there about 3 years ago, which caused them to change that light from a blinking yellow to a
Oh, right, to make it a full light.
So
they
good.
do,
The
does
state,
follow up
they
on
do, and they put actually a flashing light on Follow Green. I was actually T-boned at that intersection, and so certainly. Additional downtown parking. So, and I don't know, Larry, you probably had a hand in it. You got a hand in most things. I know Barney
Just
and
a
Brian
finger.
have all worked very diligently to increase and to add surface parking, which for the community, it's a lot cheaper to do surface parking than it is an elevated parking garage. Well, this just past week, we added an additional 10 to 12 spaces right here by Bossom and Basket. We're also finalizing the contract to take over the lot across from the Plumbery. You see some junk cars up there. That will soon be town municipal parking. That's going to add another 20 spaces for a total of 30 spaces on top of the spaces that Barney's been adding by doing parallel parking or changing the way we park up Center Street. So if you look at the old parking survey, they said we were about 60 spaces deficient. We've added close to that already just by being innovative and looking at surface options. So I applaud everybody that's involved in that. Thank you, Barney, very much. There's also an opportunity, Peter Helt, for large surface parking on the south side of Main Street that we'll be talking to you further about. Peter has offered his property for surface parking down there, and I actually believe it was Carl Munder's idea to grab that space. So, Carl, that was a great idea. We're following up on your great idea. And there may be an opportunity there, so we'll look at that. And that would give us all the parking we need without a $5 million structure. Downtown master plan status. We hear a lot of talk, what's going on with the Flatiron building? What's going on with this? It all hinges on the downtown master plan study. Just so everybody knows, that's been vetted through planning, economic development. Now it has to go out for public advertising. We hope to, within the next 30 to 60 days, after it goes out for public advertising, it goes out for bidding. Within the next 30 to 60 days, we hope to be working on that. We are going to put together, and I've asked for members that are very much historically minded. I know Peter is, I know Dave Chapman is. Excuse me, not Dave Chapman.
Billy Chapman.
Billy Chapman. I work with a Dave Chapman, I always said it. Billy Chapman. I will put some people on that board or ask them to be consulted on preserving the Flatiron building, just to see if that's an option. I want everybody to have an equal seat at the table. The mayor's community forums, Larry, I'll talk to you about, maybe I can man the caboose during those times.
Okay.
I'll be there on July 15th, 29th on Saturday, so you can sit down and talk. It's informal. You don't have to stand up the mic, give your name. You don't have to be on TV. So come on by and talk to me. Council members are certainly welcome and frequently do attend, so please come by. Bruce touched on the Mount Airy Volunteer Fire Company Carnival and Parade. There's a local 5K that's happening at the end of July. It's called the Ambassadors 5K. It's about Parkinson's and the Michael J. Fox Foundation, and it's going to benefit that. Not only do we have an ambassador that has sat with every president since Lyndon B. Johnson, Raul Yzagari. We also have a town councilman that's been affected by Parkinson's, so I take it a bit personally. I will be involved in that 5K, and I hope everybody comes out July 5th. It's a run and walk, so you can, when it's right here in your hometown.
July 30th.
July 30th, thank you. Town outreach, people ask, how do we know about these things? How do we get involved? Well, there's several ways. We have a Facebook page, we can Twitter, we have a website, and you can also sign up for notifications from the town. So there's a lot of ways to stay involved, at least 4 that I've just named, and that's not even hitting on the local press. It does a great job, by the way, local press. You can check the local press. That gets information out there. So when I see the chatter on Facebook and we're re-explaining everything, there's a lot of ways to get the official news source. Please go to those sources. Please read your local newspaper, stay involved. Volunteer opportunities exist. We're desperately looking for people on streets and roads. I plan to fill that next month.
Thank you.
And other volunteer opportunities, please reach out. That concludes my report. I think we have one commission recommendation.
I didn't see one.
There's not one?
I didn't see one.
That's what I thought. Scott is,
You did last time, but you weren't here to do it.
did you all approve it?
No,
I didn't think you
it
did.
didn't come forward.
Okay, there is gonna be one for planning, and we'll resolve that later. We'll just let it go for now.
Okay, yeah, I didn't get it. So.
Yeah, Scott Chirichio.
Okay.
I'm gonna be
Bring it up
recommending.
next month.
Did you all get a application for Scott? Have you forwarded to council? Okay, we're gonna forward you a recommendation for Scott Chirichio on
Okay.
planning. And I'm also gonna be looking at all the commissions and doing a little bit of shuffling and fine tuning, just so everyone knows.
All right, beautification, parks and rec. Larry.
Start with beautification. We had some volunteers show up. They're elders with the LDS Church, and they offered to help out the beautification commission, and they've been doing that already out at Wildwood Park, helping them weed the flower beds and stuff. But tomorrow they're actually coming out to East West Park and going to volunteer to help move stone, and we're trying to improve the East-West Nature Trail that connects to Windy Ridge Park. If you don't know where it's at, the entrance is right beside the American Legion, and we'd like to get more people using that trail, and because it's a nice 1 mile loop around Windy Ridge Park. So
It's a nice underused trail.
yeah, and we would like to see more people out there. But thanks to the Latter-day Saints Church for letting their people come out and help us on that. So tomorrow at 12:30 we'll be out there. There's a group, some of you have seen it on Facebook. It's called the Mount Airy Trash Mob, and it's run by a lady on beautification named Jan Timrick. And she's been doing an outstanding job for several months now, cleaning up garbage that is, it's not so much the town's responsibility. It's she cleans up like the park and ride, Mill Bottom Road, things like that. But she's introduced what she's calling the second Saturdays. So every second Saturday of the month, she's out there picking up garbage. The Facebook side is Mount Airy Trash Mob, so look for that. Also, I wanted to give a shout out to Chewy's Automotive, who cleaned up the park and ride the other day. So I appreciate them getting out there and getting that done. Beautification's working on a trails map for the town to kind of bring all these trails together, because there's numerous trails, but some of them people don't realize that they're out there. So we're trying to increase usage of those. We had some vandalism over at Bryson Field, and we were able to repair the sign because we picked up the half a dozen pieces and managed to glue them all back together and get the sign repaired, but they destroyed the bench. So the family has agreed to purchase a new bench and put it out there, which we greatly appreciate, but we hate the fact that vandalism occurs in our parks, especially to our new park signs. If you'll notice the Main Street planters that are all up and down the street, the boxwoods and other flowers that were in them started to die. They seem to die on the east side. So Carroll County side, things die. And but what they did was they moved all those over to the west side to bring them back to left. They replanted those and spent a lot of time doing it. So kudos to the Beautification Commission, Beverly Blatchford and Tina Swanson in particular, and I'm sure Dick was out there too. So help him with it. Parks side, movie nights I'll kind of read through them a little bit slowly. July 22nd, downtown in the rail yard. That's going to be Grease, and that's being put on by MAMSA. July 22nd, Grease. Okay, July 28th, St. Andrew's Church out at Watkins Park is putting on Field of Dreams. And then August 19th is going to be Camp Night, which has moved back 1 week from the normal date. And that's going to be Finding Dora. So August 19th, Finding Dora. Okay?
That's at Watkins as well, correct?
That will be at Watkins Park for Camp Night. Okay, the basketball court that came up earlier, what's happened is the Twin Arch development had went through a series of removing basketball posts and stripping them from along the driveways there. And as they did that, they created a need for a basketball court of some type. So we went out there and looked at the soccer field, and there's a lot of extra room up by the soccer field. We found one location where one single basketball court the same size as East West Park would fit, and I went ahead and overlaid it. And next month, I should be able to put a picture up for you. But I want to bring it back to Parks and Rec one more time because the residents considered putting it on the other side of the soccer field. So, and we haven't discussed that at Parks and Rec yet. Right now, we have it closest to the townhouses on the west side of the soccer field. Okay. They would like to consider moving it to the east side of the soccer field and sliding the soccer field closer to the townhouses. But we need to discuss that at Parks and Rec. The cost of a basketball court is about $50,000. That's Brian Johnson's estimate of an East-West Park basketball court. When I asked Peter and the mayor how best to present this, they said mention it in my report, which I've done, and my question for the council is, should I seek a way of looking for a budget amendment, try to find some money in the budget where we might be able to do that this fiscal year? Or do you want to hear something next month before you even
I would always say,
advise me?
talk to Charlene about it and
Okay.
see, there's many times she'll go, well, actually, if you look at this item right here, it applies, and we have enough money in that column. And so
Okay.
she's pretty good at that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's your first step.
All right.
'Cause it
Okay.
may be there.
Yeah,
So
it
I'll
may
talk
be
to
there somewhere.
Charlene about it, but there's definitely a lot of excitement in that community to get something done, and they do have a shortage because Heather's right. They have a tot lot and a soccer field.
And they're disconnected from the rest of the community.
Yeah,
They're
and-
physically disconnected.
Until
Yeah.
we get that thing across 27 that we
Until
talked
then.
about earlier.
So, and we do have a potential future housing area over there too.
Right,
So,
right,
I
another one
mean,
going in.
Brittany
And
Manor.
I do know this, getting something in before they show up and build the houses is better than doing it afterwards. But Twin Arch is excited about it. I met him a couple times out there, and it looks like something that's needed. I'll put it that way.
Larry, are
yeah.
you done with that issue?
Yes.
Before you pass, just so the community knows that before anything would go in permanent, that there would be a hearing process, and we would post the properties. So anybody that had concerns with, hey, I don't want it here because I'm gonna hear the balls dribbling, they'll have an opportunity to address Parks and
Okay.
Rec. So
All right.
before when you all decide that, hey, this is where we wanna put it, then let's put some signs up and give the community an opportunity to be heard.
Okay, all right.
Can I clarify? Parks and Rec doesn't have a public hearing. We do here at the council level.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's fine. And we'll be discussing this again at the
But they do have a
July-
public meeting where they'll be discussing.
Yeah, at the July 20th Parks and Rec meeting.
Debbie is just prompting me in that we actually don't have a technical public hearing on an item like that.
On that, yeah, it would be at Parks and Rec,
It
it would
would-
be discussed. It'd be discussed at Parks.
I mean, council citizens can always come up and talk to us about it, but
If
there's
it's a
not
budget amendment, it would be at town council. But for discussion
Correct.
at Parks and Recs, it would be at Parks and Recs that they
So
would
you're just
comment.
talking about the public coming to a.
Coming.
Yes, to say, hey,
Yeah.
before you do this, and then, but Bob, so everybody's right here. If it's gonna be a
Right.
budget amendment, that would be the public hearing, or not even a public hearing, it'd be on the
Just, that would be a
agenda.
council meeting.
It'd be a
event.
public meeting.
Thinking
Yeah.
about the basketball.
Okay.
So when we say the word public hearing, she thinks the formal thing we did at 7:15, which is required for certain code type.
I will
changes.
keep working and maneuvering
Sorry to interrupt.
within the system. That's fine. ADA path, we have an ADA pathway now that leads up to Watkins Park, and one of the, from Ava's Run, they're actually going to buy an ADA swing that will fit into Watkins Park. And Amethyst has done a lot of work on that and done a good job. Caboose staffing opportunities are always out there if anybody wants to come and man the caboose from noon to 4 p.m. On Saturdays, just shoot me an email or call Town Hall and they'll get through to me. We now allow scooters into the skate park, and that's a new item that seems to be working out okay. Camp night is August 19th. It's a week later than normal, so August 19th. Slim Harrison will not be there this year because he was banking on the week prior. So what we're going to do instead is do a campfire song circle around the campfire. So if you have a guitar, break it out, bring it along,
Bring the harmonica.
and we will all humiliate ourselves together. And if you sing loud enough, everybody sounds good. So the RFP for the caboose is out. When do we have all of that back in, Barney, for the pavilion?
I think the current due date is the 26th.
Okay. All right. So that'll come back in. Again, that's on the
For next month.
Community Foundation of Carroll County is footing the bill on that thing, but the town has input to it. The Wilson Fitness Trail, are we ordering stuff for that? Do you know?
About the gym equipment?
Yeah.
Yeah, and thanks to, I talked with Jason and Larry, and the feedback that I got was whatever we went with, we should think about ADA accessibility. And again, thanks to the MML conference, I had an opportunity to talk with all three. There was actually only one vendor that did ADA compliant machines, so we did go ahead and purchase those. Before any placement is done, I'd want to, we had to go for budget year 2017 and 18. Before any placement is performed at the parks, I'm going to come to Parks and Recs for a recommendation and some thoughts on we can place it here or there, but I need to lay out a path. I've been working with a committee of physical fitness professionals to help me decide on what equipment, and the fact that you said ADA and you said ADA, it really swung the decision to that one vendor.
Okay.
The actual equipment is at Thermon. If you want to see it, it's fantastic. And again, it's ADA compliant, so it works from children to adults to people in wheelchairs, and that's no other company had it but this company. They are local. The equipment is made in the USA, so I hope to be at Parks and Rec soon to go over that.
All right.
And it will complement what you all are doing with the swing and maybe a handicap ADA park.
Okay. All right. And tomorrow, I think the mayor and I are meeting the new parks manager. who's coming
We're
in.
meeting an applicant.
Okay. Yep. So that's it. Thanks.
I got a question for you. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Go ahead, Bob.
Is there a process for hanging banners on the railing around the caboose?
There is not so much a process, but there are indeed banners up there.
There, and
I asked them to neaten it up, Councilman King.
I don't, I think banners detract from the caboose. Okay, I would like to see us outlaw banners, either outlaw them or allow everybody else to put their banners up there too. So.
What was there?
It's for an event we're doing, the summer event. Where's Melissa? She left. It's
Oh,
for,
so it was
it's
advertising
always,
for
it's
a
always
town
for a
event.
town event or a nonprofit event.
I
Yeah, there's no business advertising
I would
allowed.
recommend with Council King, I mean, we paid a lot of money to make the caboose look nice. I'd hate to start hanging banners.
Well,
all
I would
over
say
it,
maybe that's
regardless of
attached
that.
for the, well,
I-
does the
I
caboose
just-
fit under Parks and Rec?
When
I don't know where it
Close,
fits.
close as
It's
anywhere.
on there. It's
It has a line item.
It's been on there several times.
I mean, it's one thing to put it
Yeah.
on the railing.
It's on the railing.
It's on the
I've
railing.
seen- I've seen things on the railing.
Well, yeah, and I just think it
I,
detracts from the
I,
caboose.
you know,
With all the money
well.
we pay for this, they ought to get the whole field as they drive by, not just part of it.
I think we have a comment, but yeah.
O'Brien, 806 Park Avenue. I would agree with you on the banners, with the exception of the one for all the volunteers at the gate. And if you want to take that down, get a plaque made.
Yeah, he's not, but you're right. No, he's not talking about that one. I didn't even think about it.
But I
But
mean,
maybe we
if
should do something more permanent. We can look
The one
at
was
that.
by the street.
Yeah, he's talking about the advertising for events that pop up.
And that's just, it's a pet peeve. I've mentioned it to you.
You mentioned it to me. Well, you mentioned to me once. You mentioned to me once.
There is a sign ordinance which should cover
I
that.
mean, there should be a banner permit for every banner that goes up.
There is, and right now, we are allowing it for nonprofits and town events.
Okay.
That's the town administrators, because I talked to her about it.
Okay.
Because there's another banner getting ready to go up for the 5K that the town administrator approved. But I actually agree with you, and we ought to
Well,
probably
we
set
need
a
to address it.
What's executive, so unless you all want to legislate it, in the sign ordinance, you can certainly do that.
You're the sign lady, you're the sign ordinance lady.
When it comes to those kind of things, Heather has no opinion, right?
No comment at this time is a
I think
perfect
it's
answer.
appropriate, since it is a town facility, that
Lead
perhaps
the
the town determine what's appropriate.
Boy, that was a good
Which
answer.
was no opinion.
That is exactly right.
Hey, but to your point, I did ask that it be tightened up, because I didn't want to pull anybody's banner down for that summer
Well,
nights.
It's a subject that, I know you've done a lot of work, and most of the advertisements I've seen up there are parks things, and they are nonprofits, and the runs, the Avis run, and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. I just am not sure that the caboose is the appropriate place.
So maybe we can find another place.
If somebody
Maybe we can find another.
If somebody wants to go get their picture taken.
Right here, we're putting the signs on the town hall building, Mavs is putting those signs there. Another sign area in an enclosed case would be appropriate.
Maybe we can find another area downtown. We'll look at that, Bob.
Yeah.
It's a valid.
There's a
point.
billboard right over there.
It's on. Well, it is being used.
Side of the
It's-
train station.
It's not. Yeah. It's private. That billboard's private.
That's
Right.
just,
Yes.
it's a pet peeve of mine, Larry, there's nothing.
But you know what? The owner of that
Fair
billboard is
enough.
somewhat flexible, so maybe we.
But
could
I
switch over.
understand what you're saying, because let's say
Yeah.
you want to go get your picture taken in front of the caboose. You want the caboose.
That's a good point. I didn't think about that.
Guys who are into trains go around and take pictures of those
Right.
things, and,
Yeah.
they don't want all these signs, they want the caboose.
Yeah, maybe, you know what? Maybe I'll reach out to the owner of the billboard as well and see if we can switch.
All
Is
right.
that- Bless you.
Bless you.
That's all I
We all
got. Thank
set,
you.
Larry?
Yep.
All right, let's move on to EDC and planning. Bob?
EDC, I'm just gonna touch on a few things here. The farmer's market. The farmer's market is fantastic. It's every Wednesday, 3 to 7. It's in the municipal lot now. And I think we're looking at moving it back down to Blossom and Basket if that works out. Dick, is that true?
We may consider waiting till next year, because making two moves in the same year
Yeah.
is really disruptive, so it probably makes some sense just to ride it out for the rest of the year in the parking lot.
It's a little tighter up in the municipal lot, but it's almost nicer too. When Larry's playing the guitar up there, you can hear him throughout the entire venue.
That makes it nicer?
Yes. Let's see, we're probably not gonna, EDC's probably not gonna have a July meeting, because of the way that all of EDC and the planning commission, they all seem to fall during that week of the carnival. So it makes it tough to have a meeting. So our next meeting is gonna be August the 23rd at Town Hall. The annual Town Commission Information Exchange will be held on July 12th, that's this Wednesday, 7:30 PM in the Mount Airy Health and Wellness Pavilion Community Room. Be there, be square. Donna Marie Needle was elected as the chair of EDC. Sean Groton will be the secretary of EDC. And Planning Commission. The draft of the downtown master plan, I think you've received everybody's comments now.
That's
and
correct.
That'll, once again, that'll be going out very soon. You had input on the draft of the MXD that needed to be reintroduced tonight, so that was finalized at the last meeting. Discussion of the, wait a second, that's EDC. How did that get there? No, it's not. Yes, it is. Wow. I wasn't at the last meeting, and Heather and Melissa gave me stuff. The next planning commission meeting is July 31, Monday, and that's all of my report.
Carl, you look like you want to say something.
Quick question on the commission exchange meeting this Wednesday. Is it
Yes.
open to the public, not to speak, but just to attend and listen? I'm just wondering, because I can't determine from newspaper articles, and I'm not saying I'm going to go, but just maybe some other public people. I'm just wondering if it has been in
I'm
the
going to
past.
defer to Tom, Bill, since you organized it. Can you give Tom the specifics on it to see if it is actually a requirement that it be advertised?
We have invited the media, but everyone is under quorum, so.
The town council will.
There's no official business being transacted.
Yeah, it's really just updates. Carl, did you want to come?
Depending on my schedule and what my wife's, if
Yeah.
my
Well,
wife's
If you
working.
ask
I'm
the
just
mayor-
wondering.
if you ask the mayor and he invites you, none of
us.
us will complain. Just do not eat all the snacks.
Oh, I'll try not to eat the snacks.
Save
okay?
some for the rest of
I
us.
know the council likes the snacks. So.
Yeah, I really don't, but as far as,
Oh,
still to the point, would you please send to Tom to make sure that we're not supposed to advertise? As far as your question, come on in.
Okay,
I
because
don't
it's
care.
just sometimes nice to see if I can, just see what all the commissions,
Yeah,
learn
that's what
how the
it's an
commissions work
opportunity
together.
for us to have some cross-training
Yeah.
to understand, because sometimes what we do impacts another commission.
Yeah.
It was very successful. It was his brainchild of Bill Butts.
Okay.
And it's a very positive
And I
exchange.
think Bill's
and we
gonna
all
come
learn.
this year.
Yeah, Bill was in the hospital last year, I
Every
believe.
time,
Every-
he's agoni-
So,
But,
something happens to Bill every time we have this meeting scheduled.
Okay.
One time Pete wanted to come to, we had a civility training for town council. He just
what
mentioned it.
time?
I invited him to come join us.
What time was it getting, 7:30?
We can't tell you the time,
Seven.
sir. But you're welcome to
It is
attend.
7. We had a substantial discussion about that this morning, because Melissa had 7:30 on her calendar. I had 7,
It's 7.
and everybody else had 7.
Okay.
So it's 7.
The time is secret, sir, but you can
Okay,
attend.
no problem. Well, it's a good chance to check out the new meeting room there.
It is a nice meeting room.
It is a nice meeting.
Very
There's
nice
actually an open house that you can check out that meeting room as well, but.
On
Thursday,
come
I
join
heard.
us, yeah.
One funny, kind of funny thing, when we were down at MML, you would go to sit in a meeting.
wellness
And
pavilion?
eventually one of the other guys would show up. There was several of them that you sit down there, and eventually 5 council members from Mount Airy would be in the same meeting on emergency preparedness or, something like that. It was pretty funny.
Mm-hmm. Good.
Yeah, there was one. I think there was at least one we were all
We were
at.
all there.
Right.
early.
I think that was
Yeah.
how to control your mayor. That was.
All right. Sanitation, recycling, and sustainable Maryland certification task force. Jason.
Were you all done? Did we all done? Are you sure? Okay.
Yeah, Bob said he was done. I think.
All right, he said, and then I wasn't sure what was going on. Recycling and sanitation, the commission, had and held its annual paper shredding and battery recycling on June 24th in Watkins Park. The numbers from this year's event continue to improve over previous years. 14,000 pounds of paper were shredded and twice the number of batteries were recycled. I checked in with town staff and heard from residents that the event was wonderful and people were continuous for the entire 3 hours, which was exciting to hear. The next yard waste pickup is July 22nd. Please remember to have your bags out before 6 a.m. that day. Please remember to blow the grass clippings back into your grass and keep our water drainages clog-free. Also be sure to download Recycle Coach, which was actually very helpful for this 4th of July. As the schedule changed for all that entire week. As they update those and post those changes, the next commission meeting is July 19th at 7 p.m. here at Town Hall. And from Sustainable Maryland Certification Task Force, aka Green Team, the commission met twice last month as the members worked diligently on preparing our submission for Sustainable Maryland Municipality. The members spent most of the meeting editing and revising each of the 20-plus submissions in order to obtain our certification. The certification is achieved when 150 points is reached. You can learn more about Sustainable Maryland at sustainablemaryland.com. The team should hear back from the Sustainable Maryland group around August to September, and our next meeting is August 16th at 7 p.m. at Town Hall. Just a side note that the mayor did a great job mentioning MML. And no one mentioned, so I will mention it, that I took my last class in local governance. So I'll be graduating from the University of Maryland Local Governance next month.
Congratulations.
So, I'm super excited about that. Larry took a little of my trash mob meeting since I'm trash guy. But I did discover, and I just wanted to piggyback, I don't need to reiterate because I wrote a couple paragraphs as well, that I recently discovered the Mount Airy Trash Mob Facebook group. I liked and followed them and saw that they were meeting every couple weekends, cleaning up Mount Airy. And once I found out who was in charge of that, it was no shocker to me. And I was actually like, oh, I know a perfect person that would actually be great on this. Jan Timarek came to the Beautification Commission first and foremost in saying, how can I pick up trash around Mount Airy and not get yelled at? And I'm really glad that she started this Facebook group. Right now, she has about 110 likes on her Facebook page. Check it out if you want to be able to help. And I'm sure with the partnership of Beautification, you get some student hours that way as well. I also just wanted to mention one of the great things that is on the schedule for our Mount Airy page, which is Art on Main Artist Showcase and Reception. This is July 21st, 5:30 p.m. to 8:30. That's in Town Hall. I wanted to mention it for a couple reasons. I know art is a big thing in Mount Airy, but there's also wine samples and also beer tasting from Red Shedman Farm Brewery. So feel free to come on in and take a look at that. And that concludes my report.
All right, thanks, Jason. Streets and roads. Scott?
All right, streets and roads. I like short and sweet. We didn't have a meeting. Our next meeting will be August on the 24th at 7 p.m. Mayor, thank you for looking into addressing the shortage on our commission. That was one of the reasons why we did not have a meeting, because we weren't able to have a quorum. The other thing was it was good to go to MML. I think we all got a lot out of it. Everybody should have received the notes that I took from the different classes and things that I took away from, and that we can end up looking forward for this year coming of things to address in our own town. And that concludes my report.
All right. Water and sewer. Water and sewer did not have a July meeting. Our next meeting will be August 2nd. Now, at our June meeting, which was a couple days after our June council meeting, we basically discussed the updates to, or the repairs to water tower number 1, which is the small one up there. Barney, do you know when they're going to start work on that?
That's not gonna happen till spring.
Okay, we'll put it off till spring?
Yeah.
Okay. But that's going to get painted and fixed up and cleaned up. We also discussed the stormwater management ponds at Marydale Gardens, which Dick and I toured, together with a bunch of people from Carroll County and other things, and looked at all the money that they're going to waste by fixing up that stormwater management pond. That's just my 2 cents, because I think that pond is perfect, and I think the government coming in and spending a lot of money to turn what looks to me to be a beautiful pond into a concrete thing is, I think, a waste of taxpayer dollars. We also discussed some issues with the Twin Ridge Pond and some stuff dealing with the town's SCADA system. Issues we'll probably be looking at in the future whenever we get the town dollars. We'll be looking at whether or not we're going to recommend to the council an increase in water rates. The water system is supposed to be self-sustaining. It's really required by the government accounting standards to be self-sustaining. And we've been running right at the edge, because we actually had a couple of scaled-in increases that the council voted down. A number of years ago, we voted that there would be automatic raises in it. And what we did is, when those years came up, we actually turned down those increases. So we're going to look at it and then decide how it should be done, depending upon what the numbers come back. But we don't have the numbers back. So despite the rumors you may have out there that we're recommending, and I have seen those rumors on Facebook that we're recommending an increase, we don't know yet. We don't have the numbers. And if we recommend an increase, it's only because we're required to, because water is required to pay for itself. We are not allowed to take tax dollars and fund water. And the reason for that is because tax dollars are tax deductible. What you pay for your water bill is not. So in other words, what you pay on your town tax bill, you get to deduct from your federal income taxes. But when you pay in your town water bill, you don't. So you can see there's a reason why the government does not want us funding taxes, funding water out of taxes. So that's it for water and sewer, and we will move on to, well, Monica's not here. We all have her report. We'll move on to Tom.
Just over the last month, worked on a couple things. One on the Marydale stormwater. You all will recall that it's currently titled in the Homeowners Association. In order to qualify under what's called the MS4 contract with the county, which is basically a cost-sharing agreement with the county, whereby the county has agreed to fund some of the upgrades that are required under what's called the MS4 regulations, Clean Water Act, basically. So in order to get all of that, it's got to be in the town's name. The Homeowners Association is defunct and has been inactive for probably 30 years or more. So essentially, we had to file a suit to have the court declare the stormwater management facility into our name. And so I've been working on the motion that hopefully will do that, and probably will be unopposed. Also worked on a matter.
Probably will be unopposed, okay.
Yeah.
The HOA is
Well,
gonna
who
come
would
in.
oppose this? But anyway, the things we have to do. Also worked on a matter regarding access to West Church Road and other potential accesses for private property owners looking to build on the property. Issued an opinion on building height restriction in the DTZ about what, in my view, is its meaning and what its limitations are. Worked on proposed changes to the MXD as well as 2017-7, which was reintroduced tonight. Responded to a Public Information Act request from the fire marshal relative to the 1010 South Main Street fire, as well as the 8 North Main Street or Plummery parking lot lease, which hopefully is due to be finalized and signed soon, and also attended the MML. So.
Yes, it was great having you at the MML with us. We have the code enforcer report. I will move, is there any other business?
Yeah, one thing. Economic Development is required once a year to submit a report on their activities of the year to the town council. I think you all have that report, it's been issued, just wanted to remind you.
All right.
Is that also on the website, Bob? Didn't they, you guys were always putting it on the website, right?
I don't know that Melissa's done that, but she usually does.
Yeah. Jason's.
Jason?
Thank you.
So I overheard, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Peter, that with the 1010 South Main fire, that there was about 2 to 3 feet of water left inside that one water tower.
It's my understanding, from talking to Brian, that tower got down to about 2 feet, and the other one got drawn down a good bit, but the system was reasonably balancing it.
So with that,
Thank goodness we put in the new water. Had we not put in that new
Right.
water main, we would have had a real problem. We wouldn't have been able to put that fire
so
out.
I guess that leads me to a question where we had just put out bids or were asked to make a decision whether to make a water tower bigger and replace it, or just paint it and hope that it lasts another 25 years before we need to consider that. And I don't know if we need to bring back up a concern like that, where if that building had then caught the house next door or had then carried to the other previous buildings behind it, you know, what would have happened to those 2 to 3 feet of water left inside that? Would the system would be able to get caught back up in time? If not, had we built a bigger tower now, do we not have to worry about it?
Very good question. About a day or two after the fire, Barney and Brian and I actually discussed that issue. Because one of the things we did when we had the fire in the downtown here, that was a learning experience. And Barney came to the council and said, you know, if we have a big fire on the south end of town, we're not going to be able to fight it, which was one of the reasons why we redid this whole water line all the way between these two towers. So these two towers would remain reasonably balanced. They'll both drain down reasonably together. That was, we upgraded to, I guess, it's a 12-inch line, as I recall, right?
We should look at increasing the size of the tower.
Well, here's the Barney, what Barney discussed as far as this one. The problem we found in this fire was that we didn't drain that tower down as evenly as we should have. And Barney brought forward the fact that there's a section up there along Center Street that's 8-inch line, where it's 12 to 8 and then 12 coming out the other side. So Barney's recommendation, I think, will probably ultimately be that we upgrade that to 12-inch line so that we'll basically balance the system a little better.
So hopefully in the future,
So we
before
are
something
going
else
through
does
this
happen.
process, and it
Yeah.
is in.
Right.
Yeah, we do have 1.7 million gallons in the air, and it's higher than what's recommended that you store. So we have adequate capacity. It's just
I just
hydraulics.
recall hearing the numbers, and
Yeah.
you know, just a few months ago, we all voted to paint it rather than rebuild it and make a bigger one. It just put the two connections together.
And actually, on that same
Sure.
lines, at MML, there's also discussion not only looking at a bigger tank, and looks like you're thinking about a bigger line, but we still should revisit that, and maybe even if we go with the tank, to actually move the location, because currently where it's at, apparently it's difficult to perform maintenance on it, to perform the work. That's what I was hearing from MML. That,
All new lines and everything else was
Yeah, the price, we did discuss at the water meeting, moving that tank, and that price becomes substantially
Okay.
greater.
Well,
Because all the infrastructure's there.
Right.
but we should be looking at these options.
It was just something
We
that
did,
They've
and
been
wa-
canceled.
water and
That-
sewer
that
went
came
through all
up.
this.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is a good talk, it's
Yeah.
about discussion back up.
Right, and like I said, right after the fire, Barney and Brian and I sat down, we talked to Brian about what the water levels were, and he said, you know, when the firemen cut back on the pressure a little, the tank shot right back up.
Yeah, it
But the
did
issue was
quickly.
that we were pulling these two pretty good.
Right.
But we weren't pulling that one in like we should have. And then Barney said, well, the problem is there's a smaller line in the middle, and that we need to make the whole thing 12 inch.
How,
so it
how
all
long is that
balances.
8-inch line?
Gravity wasn't helping.
It's from Cross Street up to Watkins Park.
Barney, great work on that, by the way, just identifying that engineering issue. Good job.
Yeah.
Yeah, so whenever we have these fires, that, at least from a water and sewer perspective, we sit
Right.
back and look at that, and that's one of the reasons we have a new 12-inch main out here.
Right.
Because Barney said we're in trouble if we, you know,
Right.
so that's.
I just
so-
want to make sure that,
Yeah.
you know, those things are taken. And the last thing really quickly, Peter, is I believe I'm not the only one that received this letter on June 26th expressing some concerns from a business owner within the town. They mentioned a few things. I'm not going to read it, but the mayor did a great job recognizing that we do have a downtown study master plan that's happening that addresses about half of the concerns about Center Street, Beck Drive, and Century Drive. We also had the Route 27 corridor study report that can be found on the town website. And if you do a keyword search of Route 27 corridor study, it pulls up the whole 78-page report. The other thing is they mentioned a concern about the skating rink, which we don't have, but I'm going to assume that that's the skate park. And Larry.
No, actually, it is an ice
It is
skating
a
rink.
skating rink.
We used to have an ice skating rink that we used to set up in Watkins Park, and it's just,
There was down where-
The way that they write the question means
Maybe
why
it's like
isn't
skate park, yeah.
why isn't it being used? And I just wanted to address Larry, and Councilman Hushhour mentioned that, you know, we are open. We did just recently approve it for scooters. It is open. It's in Watkins Park, and you know, feel free to use it if you want to.
And
So
that's an unsigned letter, so we can't really respond.
Yeah.
we cannot. That's why I just wanted to address it so that if they are watching,
No,
that
Nice job.
they
I had
know
assumed
that
they
we
were
did that.
talking, and I guess maybe Bob was too, they were talking about the old ice skating rink we used to set up in Watkins Park.
Yeah.
The volleyball.
Where the volleyball net is.
Yeah, where the volleyball stuff is, that we used to have a temporary ice skating rink that used to go up out there and freeze it over in the winter.
Well, we can't use it now, so come to a Parks and Recs meeting in the
Yeah.
December.
Okay, I'll move the bills be paid.
I'll second.
I think Jason's hand was up before Bob said it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, I'm going to move that we go into a closed meeting. I'm told we do, for two things. One is to consider acquisition of real property for a public purpose and matters directly related thereto. The other reason is to, well, Debbie checked, but I don't think I think she means 7, to consult with counsel to obtain legal advice on a legal matter.
The litigation.
It can be both. It's both legal advice and it's also discussion of.
Will Debbie check collective bargaining or other matters relating to regulations, or if she checked collective bargaining, which it is.
We'll get it.
I'd like to remind the audience
Oh,
that
okay, consult with, okay, it could consult with staff or everything, okay, so I'm gonna check that box then.
you can step outside in the hallway if y'all want to have some conversations. We'd like to clear the chambers quickly.
And I will move that we adjourn this open session as soon as that one is complete. I'm making the motion, who's gonna second it?
Second.
I think Bob was, raised the hand first.